There is a man dying on the floor of the Capitoline Museums in Rome. He has been dying there for 2,000 years. His right arm has given out beneath him. His left leg is folded beneath his body at an angle that suggests the last moment before collapse. His head is bowed, shin nearly to his chest, the muscles of his neck still holding a weight they are about to release. He is not dead yet. He is in the precise second before death, and he has been frozen in that second since the 3rd century before Christ. The sculpture is called the Dying Gaul, and everything about it, who made it, who it depicts, what it was meant to say, and why the version you are looking at is not the original, is more complicated than it appears. The figure is a warrior. The torque around his neck, a twisted metal collar worn by Celtic tribes, and the short sword and oval shield beside him confirm this. He is naked, which in ancient sculpture signifies not vulnerability, but heroism, reserved for gods, athletes, and those whose deaths were worth commemorating. His wounds are not shown. No blood, no visible injury. What tells you he is dying is the posture, the arm giving out, the weight shifting, the head dropping. The sculptor rendered not the fact of death, but the experience of it. The moment when the body begins to understand what is happening to it. This is technically extraordinary. Capturing a figure in the specific motion of dying, which is not traumatic movement, but the slow withdrawal of structural support, required an understanding of anatomy and physics that most sculptors never attempted. The Gaul is not performing his death. He is undergoing it, but this is where the story becomes stranger. The sculpture you see in Rome is not the original. It is a Roman marble copy, produced sometime in the 1st or 2nd century AD, of a bronze original that no longer exists. The bronze was made in Pergamon, a Greek kingdom on the western coast of what is now Turkey. Sometime around 230 BC, it was commissioned by Attalus I, king of Pergamon, to commemorate his victory over the Galatians Celtic tribes who had invaded from the north and terrorized the region for decades. The original bronze, along with the group of sculptures it belonged to, was displayed on the Acropolis of Pergamon, high above the city, visible for miles. It was one of the most celebrated works of the Hellenistic world. Ancient writers described it in terms that suggest it was considered a landmark of artistic achievement. And then it disappeared. At some point in late antiquity, the bronzes were melted down, destroyed, or lost. No one knows exactly when or how. What survived were the Roman copies, marble reproductions made for wealthy collectors and public spaces across the empire, faithful enough to preserve the composition, but separated from the original by several centuries and a translation from bronze to stone. The Dying Gaul has been in Rome, in one collection or another, since at least the early 1600s. It was acquired by the Capitoline Museums in 1733. For most of that time, no one questioned what it was. It was admired, copied, praised by artists including Michelangelo, who studied it, and described by writers including Lord Byron, who called it one of the most affecting works he had ever seen. The deeper researchers looked, the more questions appeared. Consider what Attalus I was actually commissioning when he ordered this sculpture. He had defeated the Galatians. In the tradition of ancient victory monuments, the defeated enemy was typically shown in one of two ways: prostrate and humiliated, the conqueror's foot on their neck, or fleeing in panic. The composition designed to communicate the completeness of the victor's triumph. Neither of these conventions was followed at Pergamon. The Dying Gaul is shown alone, without a conqueror standing over him. There is no Pergamene soldier in the composition, no figure of triumph, nothing that places his death in the context of someone else's victory. He dies by himself, in his own space, with a dignity that the standard iconography of victory monuments specifically denied to the defeated Dot. Why would Attalus I commission a monument to his own victory that showed the enemy dying with honor? The answer that scholars have most consistently proposed is that the Galatians, however dangerous they had been as enemies, were also useful as symbols. By showing them as noble warriors capable of heroic death, Attalus elevated the significance of his own achievement. You cannot be a great king if you have defeated an unworthy enemy. The dignity of the Gaul is a political argument about the greatness of the man who defeated him. At first, this seems to resolve the mystery. It doesn't, because the sculpture does something that pure political calculation cannot account for. Look at the face. The head is bowed, and the angle makes it difficult to see the expression clearly, which may itself be intentional. But what you can read in the face is not the expression of a symbol. It is the expression of a person. There is concentration there, and something that looks like refusal. Not acceptance. Not the peaceful resignation that devotional art would later make the standard face of noble death. The Gaul is still deciding something, still present in his own dying, in a way that the political reading of the sculpture doesn't require and can't fully explain. The art historian R. Smith, writing on Hellenistic sculpture, noted that the Pergamene sculptors appear to have studied their subjects with an ethnographic attention, unusual for the period that the torque, the shield type, the hairstyle, and the physical type of the Gaul are accurate enough to suggest direct observation rather than generic barbarian stereotype. If this is correct, then the sculptor knew something specific about Galatian warriors. Perhaps had seen them, perhaps had spoken to prisoners or survivors. And if the face carries the weight of that knowledge, if the sculptor who made this was rendering not a type, but something closer to an individual, then the dying Gaul stops being a monument to Attalus' eyes. Victory and becomes something the king may not have fully intended. An elegy for the man his army killed. There is a second complication, and it arrives from an unexpected direction. The Roman copy in the Capitoline is almost certainly a faithful reproduction of the original composition. But marble and bronze are different materials. What is possible in bronze is not always possible in marble without modification. The copyist working in stone would have had to make structural adjustments that the original sculptor in bronze did not, which means details in the dying Gaul as it exists today, the angle of the arm, the position of the supporting hand, the weight distribution, may reflect the necessities of marble rather than the intentions of the original. The sculpture we have is a translation, and translations, even faithful ones, always make choices the original did not. This creates an interpretive problem that cannot be resolved. The most studied sculpture of a dying figure in the Western tradition is not the work we think we are studying. It is a version of that work, separated from its source by 2,000 years, a change of material, and structural compromises whose extent we cannot measure because the original no longer exists. The dying Gaul has been in its current location for nearly 3 centuries. It has been sketched, cast, reproduced, and analyzed more thoroughly than almost any other ancient sculpture. The torque around the neck has been used to identify the ethnic type. The musculature has been studied by anatomists. The composition has been dissected by art historians looking for the underlying geometric structure that gives it its sense of inevitable collapse. None of this has settled the questions that matter most. Who was the sculptor? What was his relationship to the people he depicted? Was the dignity of the Gaul a political calculation or a human recognition? And what did the original bronze look like? The work ancient writers praised and no living person has ever seen. The copy stands in Rome. The original is gone. The man it depicts has been dead for over 2,000 years. He is still dying. He has always been still dying. And the question of whether what you are seeing is a monument to victory, or an elegy for the defeated, a political instrument or an act of unexpected mercy by a sculptor whose name we do not know, is the same question it was when Attalus, I first looked at it and decided it was exactly what he had asked for. Whether it was what he asked for is something only the sculptor knew, and the sculptor left no record.